This is a video to show you how to use the pattern maker in Illustrator. First of all, you need some kind of drawing to start with, and the scale of the drawing is going to reflect in the scale of the pattern. What do I mean by pattern? Just very quickly, if I draw a rectangle and instead of a colour I could choose a pattern. Okay, so that was the actual size the pattern was designed at. There are lots of patterns, and you can have a look around the different types of pattern in Illustrator. But we want to make our own. So there is a pattern maker. In fact, you kind of don't exactly need it. You can actually simply drag your pattern into the swatches panel and you've made a pattern. So now if I make a rectangle and fill it with my pattern. You do, however, so I'm just going to delete that pattern. You do, however, have a pattern maker. So I'm going to select and create a pattern. So that's Object Pattern Make. And it tells me that it's adding the pattern to the swatches panel. And then I also get this dialog box. Now, originally when I dragged the first version into my swatches panel, if I double clicked on it, exactly the same would happen. This panel would open and we would see a display of our pattern. This allows us to edit the pattern, and there's lots of different ways we can edit the pattern. First of all, let me just show you around. The image we're seeing at the moment, one of them is full color. That's the actual tile, the pattern tile. And then there's a mock-up of how the pattern is going to look, which is dimmed. That's reflected in this area down here. So at the moment, it's showing us 5 by 5 and it's dimmed to 70%. So it's showing us the tile edge as well. Now, that's just for preview's sake, and you can change this to see it in different ways. You can give your pattern a name. You can change the type of grid that your pattern is expressed in, so you can make some pretty groovy variations. I quite like that one for this particular pattern. And then you also have another drop-down menu which allows you to change the ratio between your patterns, so how they actually sit with each other. So I quite like that. I'll go with that. At this point, if I wanted to save this pattern, I could say, well, I could say done. Okay, and there I've got my pattern. So color, pattern. If I wanted to create an additional pattern or wanted to make other changes, I can say save a copy. Now I've double clicked and I've gone back into the pattern maker and I can make changes. You've got control over the width and the height. That's for the actual tile itself. So let me just increase this a little bit. 50 and 30. And what it appears to do is to increase the space between. What it's actually doing is saying this tile is bigger, and then that's where the next tile would start here. What I can do, if I change my mind, I can say size tile to the artwork, and the tile will then fit the artwork again. So I'm just going to do that again. I'm going to move it up to 50. We'll go 30 here. You can lock the ratios together as well. If I extend the artwork beyond the tile, you'll see it then overlaps. And you have control of the way it overlaps down here. So I'm just going to go backwards, and I'm going to create a variation. The really nice thing about the pattern maker is that I can actually design from within. So I can push that image around. I can change the size of things. I can even change the corners, change the color if I wanted to. And I can add elements, so I could draw other things in as well. So I can just add another rectangle in. Make it blue. And you can see there's an overlap for this design now, because what I'm doing is I'm forcing it to go beyond the boundaries of the tile and into the next parent tile. So you can change the way that the overlap works using these controls here. This one is for left to right overlap, and then this one is top to bottom. So you can see that's making a change to the two new drawings. So again, I could say to it, size the tile to the art, and we can create a tile which exactly fits. So if I don't want that to happen, I need to come in and change the width here. So I can drop that down to, let's say, 30. And let's go 20, 24, let's try 25 with that. And you can see it's tightened the pattern. So reducing the scale here tightens the pattern. And if I increase it, it will appear to put space around the actual pattern. I'm going to put it back. So I'm going to size tile to art. And have a look at this additional control down here. This allows me to add spacing or padding around the tile. So I'm going to put in 10, and you can see again it appears to, it hasn't changed the size of the tile, but it's put in padding. So let's go 20 this way just to show you. Okay. So the actual image is the same, but it's put in an area of padding inside. And in a sense, it's a similar, does a similar thing to increasing the width and the height. It's a different action, but it will look pretty much the same. So I'm just going to go back to the original pattern. And there's one more thing. The pattern tile tool up here. If I click it, it will allow me to just adjust the size of the tile by hand. So I can reduce or change that physical tile by hand. That's kind of it really. When I'm happy with my design, then I need to just tell it I'm done. Or I can save a copy of this pattern, and it will save the changes and keep the original. Okay. So I'm going to click done. And there's my pattern, which is now changed.